Hello everyone, welcome back to KaushalBioPrep. In today's video lecture, we are going to discuss another topic, that is the composite fish farming, which is also known as the polyculture. So we'll start with the basic introduction. So composite fish culture or fish farming or the polyculture is a scientific method of cultivating a combination of compatible fish species. This is very important. You have to cultivate multiple fish species here, but they should be compatible with each other, and you are going to rear all these fishes in the same pond. And it is widely practiced in India and in other Asian countries as well, for maximizing the fish yield per unit area by efficiently utilizing the different ecological niches of a water body. So basically, in a pond, you rear different type of fishes which are ecologically partitioning the pond. Basically, the ecological niche is different. Some are bottom feeder, some are the surface feeder, and some will live on the middle zone. So in this way, you are going to use that same pond for rearing different fishes altogether. So the system was standardized in India during the 1970s by the research institutes, that is the ICRCI, that is the Central Inland Fisheries Research Institute. Now the main principle behind it is the ecological niche partitioning. Just what I was telling you before, different species feed at the different level of the water column. For example, some are surface feeders, some species are column feeders, some are bottom feeders, some are vegetation feeder. So there are different species of the fishes. So this reduce the interspecific competition, because they are not going to feed on the same level when you introduce these fishes in the pond. So it ensures the optimum utilization of the natural food resources in the pond that is available. Now for this, the selection of the species is very important. So the criteria for selection is the compatibility. So there should be no predation among the species which you are going to introduce into the pond. No severe competition should be there. Then the growth rate must be fast, and then the different feeding habits should be there. And lastly, the market acceptability shall be present, because you are doing this for the purpose of or money, of course, the economic benefit, right? So those fishes that you are going to rear in the polyculture must be acceptable to the market. Now, what are the common species that are being used for polyculture? So Indian major carps and exotic carps are there. So under Indian major carps, you have Katla, Ruhu, and Regal. These three species are there. So you can rear these species in the same pond. Excuse me. Yeah. So you can rear these species on the same pond. Why? Because they are different type of feeders. For example, the Katla one is the surface feeder. It feeds on the zooplankton. Then the Rohu is a column feeder. And for the base, you have Mrigal, which is the bottom feeder, right? So these different species basically feed differently on the different water levels. So you can rear them in the single pond, and they will not disturb each other in this manner. For exotic carp, we have grass carp, silver carp, and common carp. So they, if you see, grass carp feeds on the aquatic weed, whether the silver carp feeds on the phytoplankton, and it is a column zone feeder. Then the common carp is an omnivorous species, which basically is a bottom feeder, and it feeds on the detritus. So again, you have a different kind of the fishes which basically feed in a different manner, so you can use them in the polyculture. So these are some pictures of the fishes which I have taken the name of. This is the Katla one, this is Riohu, and then there is Mrigal, common carp, and this is the silver carp, and this is the grass carp. So all these varieties have been used in the polyculture. Now let's talk about the stocking density and ratio. So optimal density of the fishes when you start the polyculture is around 5,000 to 8,000 fingerlings per hectare. So that means for per square meter you need 1 to 2 fingerling of the fishes. The stocking ratio, it can basically, this one can vary according to the fish farm, but the journal recommendation is given over here. It is 30 to 40% should be the surface feeders, then 20 to 30% you can introduce the column feeder, and then again 30 to 40% can be the bottom feeder. If you are introducing the grass carp, so it is included as a 10 to 15% depending on the weed availability, because I've told you earlier also that the grass carp, it's feeding on the aquatic weed. So the availability of the weed is very important to check when you are introducing grass carp in the polyculture. Now, what are the steps in the polyculture or composite fish culture? The first one is the site selection, where you are going to make your farm or the pond in which you are doing this thing. So site selection is critical aspect of aquaculture, and it significantly influence the success of the fish farming. Then choosing an appropriate site is very very important. It requires a comprehensive evaluation of the various factors that can actually affect your culture, in a way that it can affect fish health, growth, and overall productivity. And we concern with all these things when we are doing the polyculture. So the process can be categorized into three main ideas. First is the ecological, then there is biological and economic social consideration, which you need to consider while selecting a site. So if you talk about the ecological factors for site selection, so the location is very important. It must suit the aquaculture, and choose fish species accordingly, right? Because there are fishes who are not going to be surviving in all kind of environment condition, right? So location should be compatible with the chosen fish species. Topography is very important. It should allow easy water flow, drainage, and management, because water is the main thing which is it's like an essential thing for the polyculture or any type of fish culture basically. Then soil suitability is also very important feature. Best is the clay loam. Again, it is a generalization. Low permeability soil and the high fertility soil is very suitable for this thing. Then the composition of soil can vary accordingly, but sand, silt, and clay should be in this ratio. This is again a generalized value. It can vary according to the pond also. Then the water quality needs to be under this thing. You need to consider like the pH is has to be in this range. Then the dissolved oxygen content, this is optimum. ये तो इतना होना ही चाहिए. It must be more than 5 parts per million. Then the salinity should be less than 2 ppm. And for the freshwater species, the salinity will vary if you are rearing an marine water species, right? Again, the hydrology will ensure the year round water availability and stable water level for the farm. Then the meteorology will give you an idea of the local climate, the rainfall, and seasonal variation, which will strongly affect the fish growth and survival in that particular region. Second one is the biological factor for the site selection. For the successful fish farming or successful fish culture, you should rely on the understanding the biological interaction within the aquaculture system. First of all, the species selection, as we have already discussed, is the chosen species must be compatible and it should suit the environment also. Second is the predator control. Proper measures should be placed to manage the natural predators that may threaten the fish stock which you are going to use for your culture. And finally, the disease control mechanism should be there. Effective management practices must be established to mitigate the disease outbreak if any such outbreak occurs during the culture. And lastly, the economic and social factors, the consideration must be taken care for the factors like the type of the facility which is there, the design and the structure of the fish farm setup. It must align with the operational goals and the budget. Then the marketing scheme, that means understanding the market access. Market should be nearby normally, and the demand for the selected species is vital, so that if you grow some fish you can sell it in the nearby area. Then safety and security measures should be taken to protect the facility and fish stock from the theft or any environmental hazard that can occur. And the social consideration must be there. The impact on the local communities and engagement with the stakeholders should be evaluated. Now, finally, when we talk about the polyculture or any fish farm, the pond characteristics are also very, very important. So, specific physical attributes of the ponds are very important for effective fish culture, like the pond area and the depth. So, usually, an ideal size range from the zero 0.5 to 2 hectares for a pond. However, ponds can be smaller or larger. It depends on the site and according to the availability of the area and the size of the fish farm itself. Then the depth of the pond can be 1.5 to 2 meters. It is recommended to maintain a stable condition and support the aquatic life. Now, under pond management, you have certain aspects like pond preparation, then there is feeding, and then the water quality. So, for preparation of the pond, you need to remove the unwanted fish and the predator from the pond. Liming is done to adjust the pH, and then the fertilization, organic and inorganic, to enhance the plankton production in the pond. That these steps are done to prepare the pond before adding your stock. Then feeding is the supplementary feed. You can add rice bran or oil cake mixture according to the fish species. Again, the grass carp may be provided aquatic feed. If you are rearing the grass carp, you need to add the aquatic feed in the feeding. Then the water quality, the dissolved oxygen must be more than 5 mg per liter. Then pH needs to be around 7 to 8.5 range, and the regular water exchange in the intensive system must be there. Now, there are some management practices which is done for composite fish culture. Some are done before the stocking, which are called pre-stocking management. Then there are some management which are done during the stocking. Those are called stocking management. And then finally, there are some which are done post-stocking. So there are three steps: pre-stocking management, stocking management, and the post-stocking. So we're going to start with the first one. So, pre-stocking operations prepare the pond to create an optimum ecological chemical environment before introducing the fish. So, you are doing all this management before you introduce fish into the pond. And it is done to improve the pond productivity, eliminate any harmful factors if they are present, and ensure survival and growth of the stocked fish. And then finally, it is applicable to both newly constructed pond and existing pond needing renovation. So, these things are done over there. For example, I have talked about the liming of the pond and water filling. So liming is a usual practice also. It is done in pond after a certain period of time. So in new ponds, if you say, you apply lime before filling the water. And what is the function? The function, it corrects the soil acidity because it raises the pH, and then it stabilizes the pH fluctuations. Buffering action is done by the lime, and then it improves the soil productivity and decomposition of the organic matter. And finally, it kills the parasite and harmful organisms if any present there. So it is done before you fill the pond with water, right? The recommended lime doses are there. Again, these doses can vary according to the pond and the area. So every fish farm has their own set of rules, basically set of doses that they have standardized for the culture that they have been doing there, right? But these are some recommended lime doses per hectare ke hisab se, that the soil pH, if 4 to 4.5, then you can use 100 kg. This is highly acidic. But if soil pH is 4.5 to 5.5, you can use 700 kg, then it will become medium acidic. If you are using the 500 kg, then it is slightly acidic. So as you see, the dose can change according to the requirement also. Now the material that is used is the CaCO3, CaO, and CaOH2. Now in pre-stocking, there is one more thing that is done, that is the fertilization or manuring to enhance the natural productivity, which is basically the plankton, banthas, and detritus, the foundation of the found chain basically. So to enhance all this primary producers, you do certain things like, first of all, the organic fertilizers ke liye the farmyard manure, the cow dung is introduced in the pond. That is the 500 around, it again depends on the size of the pond. So if per hectare ke hisab se, it can be 5000 kg per hectare. Poultry and sheep manure and crop pesticides and cottonseed meal, and these things can be used for organic fertilizers. For inorganic fertilizers, these are applied around 15 days after organic manuring, and the requirement depends on the soil fertility. So these things will change according to the site and the pond that you are dealing with. Then in the pre-stocking management, in inorganic fertilizers, what you do, you introduce either nitrogen fertilization or phosphorus fertilization. Now the ranges are given over here. If you are talking about the high fertility, so 50 to 75 mg per 100 gram of the soil, it should be there. Ammonium sulfate can be this much, urea can be this much. You can pause and take a screenshot of all these values if you want, but these are just recommendations from one point of view, but these can change a little bit, 1 or 2 point here to there according to the pond, right? Finally, we talk about the stocking management in composite fish culture. So, in this, why this is important? Because it is a critical phase. You are, basically populating the pond with fingerlings. So that means in stocking, you introduce the fish into the pond, and to ensure the productivity, sustainability, and profitability, you do certain management strategies while stocking also. So the time for stocking is done 15 days after fertilization. Once you are done with manuring, so the pond will start the natural growth of the weeds and everything that you have basically introduced. The organic growth will be there, the natural your food blooms. After that, you will introduce the your stock, that is the fingerlings. So it is usually done 15 days after fertilization. Then the size of the fingerlings is 50 to 100 grams. This is preferred one. The density can be 5,000 to 8,000 per hectare. You can adjust if the fingerlings are smaller. And rearing duration is 10 to 12 months for market size. Now, in stocking management, if you see, you are using different species because you are doing the composite fish culture. So what are the species selection and the ratio? So if you are doing 3 species in a single pond, you are rearing 3 species. For example, you are doing these species: catla, rohu, and mrigal. So you will be introducing 4 catla, 3 rohu, and 3 mrigal. The ratio will be like that. The number can increase or decrease according to your stock. If you are doing the 4 species, then again number changes. Catla can be 3, rohu can be 3, but mrigal and common carp can be 2. 6 species type culture can be there. So these are the numbers that you will be these are the ratios that you will be maintaining, right? Now, in stocking management, finally, feeding group and dishes की अगर हम बात करें तो surface feeders should be 40%, column feeders should be 20%, bottom feeders should be 30%, and vegetation feeders should be 10%. So overall, ये percentage कहाँ से निकाला है? From the stock. So catla and silver carp are surface feeder. So they should combine and form a 40% of the total stock. Just like that, the bottom feeder should make the 30% of total stock, and column feeder should make the 20%, right? So these are the ratio. Now after stocking, what are the management? So after stocking, once you have introduced the fish, you will be doing supplementary feeding. So this natural pond productivity is usually insufficient, so you need to provide supplementary feed to ensure the growth of the fish, proper growth and the yield. So common feed formulation include rice bran plus oil cake, very commonly used in every fish farm, and the ratio is 4:1, right? And the cottonseed oil is more economic, and it is used as more commonly used as compared to the groundnut oil right here. Feeding methods क्या होता है? The feeding tray or bags is lowered into the pond water and broadcasting feed at the pond corner. 2 ways are there. Then feeding rate is 5 to 6% of the body weight up to the 500 gram size fish, and it is reduced to 3 to 3.5% body weight from 500 to 1000 gram of fish. As fish is basically size increases, the feed will decrease. Now this is done to basically यहाँ पे if you see, there is a difference. If the size of the fish is small, the feed is more. If the size of the fish is large, the feed is less. Why it is done? It is done to avoid underfeeding or overfeeding, right? Now after that, there is manuring and fertilization again in post stocking also. The purpose is to enhance the primary productivity, phytoplankton and zooplankton, and the natural food. And organic manuring is done again with the cow dung, mostly poultry dropping या फिर farm yard manure से कर सकते हैं. And it is applied at 1000 kg per hectare per month. Again, it can vary according to the pond. Inorganic fertilization is done with the urea, superphosphate, ammonium sulfate, and these are applied monthly alternatively with the organic manuring. In 1 month you are doing organic manuring, another month you are doing inorganic fertilization. And precautions should be taken care of, like the over fertilization can lead to the eutrophication and oxygen depletion. So you should not over fertilize your pond, right? So certain measures should be there. How much manure should be added so that the over production should not be done simply, right? So fertilization should be site and productivity specific. Otherwise it will be harmful, because under eutrophication what will happen? Oxygen will be less in the water and your species will die. Now finally, to wind up, what are the advantage of all this? What is the advantage of doing composite fish culture? So first of all, it will enhance productivity because you are doing multiple species with different feeding niche in the same pond. Optimized feed utilization is there, minimal waste, because surface पे भी there is something to eat the feed, column पे भी है, bottom पे भी है, everywhere there are species who can basically use the feed. Yield is more as compared to any other farming, fish farming. Now second advantage, the diverse market offering, because you are farmers can offer mixed species, and they can be rare on the based on the demand. Price fluctuation can reduce, and it provides variety for the customer as well. Then there is reduced risk of the diseases, because polyculture system ensures species diversity, which will reduce pathogen spread. Under the same species rearing, the pathogen spread can be more, but under when you are rearing more than one species, the pathogen spread is usually less, because interspecies spread is rare, lower susceptibility compared to the monoculture. If you see this disease risk, right? And then higher economic returns, better feed conversion efficiency is more, of course. Multiple high harvest option, because you are rearing more than one species. And there is higher net return due to the resource optimization and market flexibility also. Finally, education and research value. Why? Because it provide model system for the ecological studies, and it encourage innovation in the pond management, feeding strategy, and stock combinations, right? Then uh, there is one more thing. This is an efficient resource use also, because when you are rearing different species in the single pond, there is bottom, there is column, and there is surface. So different on the different levels, there is there is a kind of a stratification. You can see layers. In this layer you will only find the surface feeder, in this layer you will find column feeder, and in here you will find bottom feeder. So there is a vertical stratification, and in every layer particular resources are being used efficiently. So there is minimum intraspecific competition, ensured balanced nutrient cycling in the pond, and the sustainability and environment benefits are also there, because it reduces the eutrophication risk because of the balanced ecosystem. Every layer has its own benefit. So these are some advantages. Now finally, everything has their pro and con. So what are the cons of the polyculture? The limitation is there. High stocking density can decrease the uh, uh, basically high. Whenever the stocking density is high, it increases the disease outbreak. Sorry about that, not decrease, it increases the disease outbreak, because people do one thing, the ratios that they are recommended, they will not follow it, and due to that the disease outbreak can occur. Again, the competition, if species ratios are not properly handled, competition can occur if you do not follow the ratio properly. High demand for quality seed and fingerlings is there, because you are rearing one more than one species altogether, so you need the quality seed. Then requires proper pond fertilization and supplementary feeding also. And exotic carp, if you are rearing, may sometimes interfere with the natural biodiversity if it escapes. So there are few limitations, but I will say the advantages are more, and if we take care of the recommendations, we can always benefit from this particular concept. So this is all for the today's lecture. Thank you so much for joining the lecture, and I hope you learned something. If you do like the video, and if you have any kind of question or query, feel free to comment it down, share it with your friends who can be benefited from the lecture, and subscribe for more. Stay connected for upcoming lectures. Thank you so much.